Hello, bookworms. Welcome back to the Bonafide Bookworm. I'm your host, Rachel, and if you're here to read along with me and improve your English. So, I still haven't had time to watch Practical Magic, so that's on the back burner. But we are going to look at the laws that I had mentioned that we're kind of going to go through as we're reading Saving Sadie. So, again, I'm pulling this from Animal Legal Defense Fund. And some of this I was trying to paraphrase, and some of it's just like I can't shorten it anymore. So the first thing I found on there, continuing our laws, or actually this is the second thing because I already did one, was in 1873 there is a 28-hour law saying that every 28 hours any animal that was being transported for slaughter must be allowed out for exercise, food, and water. However, there are apparently many restrictions on that, and there are some animals that aren't even covered. And if they have access to food and water while they're in transport, then they do not have to stop to let them out to exercise, which doesn't really make sense to me, but whatever. Next, we have the Humane Slaughter Act, or the Humane Methods of Livestock Slaughter Act from 1978. It was actually, I think, in the 1950s that they passed it, but they made some adjustments to it in 78. But that law basically says that any animal that's going to be slaughtered needs to be stunned or put into unconsciousness before they're slaughtered. But again, there's rules and regulations with that doesn't apply to all animals, specifically birds like chickens, turkeys, things like that people eat. And I was thinking about that, and I'm very curious to get to more laws because I don't know much about slaughtering animals. I don't have my own farm. I don't know how it works. But I thought that with cows, I thought they kind of just put them in a chute and that there was a bolt that just, real quick. So do they stun them or do they not? So I don't know about that. We'll continue our journey and find out how that works because I don't know. Hopefully I don't become like a vegan or something after all this. Nothing wrong with being a vegan. It's just I've tried it before. It doesn't work for my body. So back to Saving Sadie by Joel Derse Dauer with Elizabeth Ridley. And when we left off, Joel was sending out her flyers, her emails, just trying to drum up some help for taking care of Sadie. And she got the idea that she should probably reach out locally to local media and newscasters and see if she could get somebody to maybe feature her on TV. So it sounds like that she has gotten someone who's interested in doing a story on Sadie. So that's where we're picking up at the top of page 72. And I apologize for my very poor editing and not one of my best videos, the last video. I was interrupted a few times, so I kept trying to splice the video together. It didn't go well, I don't think, but I tried. So anyway, back to page 72. Finally, we got our first nibble when the Waukesha Freeman, a large local suburban daily newspaper, responded to my pitch. They sent Dave Fidlin, a freelance writer and reporter, along with photographer Charles Auer, to the house to interview and photograph Sadie and me. My excitement about the interview was tempered by a mild case of nerves, wanting to present both Sadie and myself in the most positive light. It wasn't enough for Dave to fall in love with Sadie. Dave's readers needed to fall in love with her as well. It turned out I needn't have worried. Sadie hit it off right away with Dave, a fresh-faced young man with a crisp buzz cut and a broad, boyish grin. He listened with interest and took copious notes as I described how I stumbled across Sadie at the shelter and how she had already changed my life in just a few short weeks. I emphasized how much progress Sadie had made so far and what a difference support from others was making. Sadie was a good sport throughout, posing for photos outside in the grass, but of course we couldn't know for certain how the interview had gone until Tuesday, May 15th, 2012, the day the article appeared in print. As soon as I found out that the story was running in that day's edition, I hopped in my SUV and drove a few blocks to the nearest gas station, rushed inside, and grabbed the first copy off the pile of newspapers arranged in a haphazard stack alongside the display racks of beef jerky, bubble gum, and chewing tobacco. I gave a little shriek of joy as my eye jumped directly to the paper's masthead, where a teaser boldly announced, "Help give Sadie a second chance. Mosquito woman determined to help dog who was shot twice in horrific act of cruelty." Beside the teaser was a full-color close-up photo of Sadie. "Oh, yes," I bellowed, then glanced up to see the confused expression on the face of the young man behind the counter. "This is my dog," I announced proudly, pointing to the headline and photo. Yes, I thought suddenly, Sadie is my dog now. She belongs to me. I may not be her forever home or her forever mom yet, but she will never again belong to anyone else. My heart was pumping hard as I turned to page 4A, the beginning of the local section. And there was Sadie's photo again, even bigger this time, and in black and white beside the headline, "A second chance for Sadie. Mosquito woman determined to help dog." Mosquito. It started out as a routine day for Joal, Derse, Dauer. Pillows and blankets in hand, the Mosquito resident planned to donate the items to a local no-kill shelter, an act she does routinely. I was thrilled as I skimmed the rest of the article, which took up most of the page. I bought several copies of the paper and took them home, where I sat at my kitchen table and read and reread the article again and again. The story was clear, concise, and focused, emphasizing the progress Sadie had already made and including details about how to contribute to the Saving Sadie Fund, either online or through the credit union. "Sadie, we are going to do it. We are really doing it, girl, and we're on our way." She looked up at me and cocked her head to one side, in that quickly becoming her trademark, "my mom must be crazy" way. I knelt down on the kitchen floor beside her, wrapped my arms around her shoulders, and gave her a huge kiss atop her glossy black head. "You are a star. Just keep doing what you're doing, Sadie, and soon everyone will be inspired to help." And then I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I went to my study, logged on to my computer, and checked our Saving Sadie chip-in account. My heart fell. After a busy couple of days, donations had trickled to almost nothing. We were so far short of our goal. For the first time, a terrible reality shook me to the core. Sadie wants to live, and she wants to walk again. She has made that very clear. I'm willing to do anything and everything I can to help her, but in the end, there just might not be enough money to make that happen. If I can't raise enough funds, I will have no choice but to have Sadie euthanized. She's never going back to the shelter, and I can't support her on my own. Suddenly, I felt a slight pressure against my calf. I looked down. Somehow, Sadie had managed to pull herself from the kitchen into my study and was leaning against my leg in solidarity and support. "Oh, Sadie," I sighed, reaching down to stroke her head and rub behind her ears. "I know what you would tell me if you could speak. Have faith, be strong, stay the course. Please don't give up on me, Mom. You promised me a second chance. I believe in you. Don't give up now." Chapter 4, Who's Rehabbing Whom? And then we've got a picture of Sadie, and she's got some wheels. There we go. All right. So what is it about dogs that allows them to touch our souls so deeply? Denied the gift of human speech and comprehension, what magic happens? What potent alchemy spins out from their soft paws, wagging tails, and lolling tongues, from their cold, damp noses and warm, doggy breath? What hidden channels, what secret languages of exchange allow messages to pass, wordlessly yet powerfully, from their hearts to ours and back again? What habits, gestures, and expressions allow us to know each other better than we know ourselves? Dogs believe in us. By accepting our love, they grant us the wings to become our better angels and rise above our lesser selves. Where Sadie was concerned, I may have been determined to remain a skittish, skeptical lover, a headstrong Jane Austen heroine, unwilling to relinquish my whole heart to her for fear of having it smashed into a million pieces. But already, even in that first month, after bringing Sadie home, I could feel myself changing, responding to the powerful influence she was having on my life. The ongoing demands of Sadie's care were pushing me beyond my comfort zone in so many ways. I had always been a social person, comfortable both in groups and engaging one on one, but now I had to be proactively social, constantly reaching out, constantly reaching out to solicit media coverage and financial support for Sadie. I had to learn never to take no for an answer because Sadie's future, her very life, in fact, depended on it. I had to be more organized, more focused, more patient, and more committed than ever before. I learned to open up and to be more forgiving of myself and of Sadie, especially when she was nowhere close to walking yet and still wasn't able, even with all the physical therapy and exercise and supplements and treatments, to do many of the things I expected her to be doing by now. Now, as the lilac and baby's breath freshness of early May was ripening, marching toward June in the blazing promise of a glorious Midwestern summer. By nature a perfectionist, I was learning to lower my expectations and to savor and celebrate victories, no matter how small. Fortunately, Sadie was achieving some meaningful milestones even as she failed to clear the highest hurdles I'd set out for her. For example, she was occasionally urinating on her own, although she still needed a diaper to handle leaks and prevent accidents between bathroom breaks. Even better, she was now defecating, or what I prefer to call detoxing, on her own. Dr. Jody had been right that the special diet she had prescribed had softened her stools and allowed Sadie to regain control over this important function. To be honest, Sadie would have probably started detoxing on her own much sooner if I had only realized that my Sadie was by nature a modest girl, and like most people, desired some privacy when she did her business. She would hop crawl as far away from me as possible and then hide when she wanted to go. Once I understood that, I always gave Sadie her space when requested and tried not to hover like an over-anxious helicopter mom. By week 3, Sadie had gone into heat, which surprised me, but was also reassuring because it suggested that internally her body was responding to the diet and supplements, becoming stronger and more stable as she recovered from the trauma of her injuries and the subsequent lack of nutrition and proper care that she had endured before I found her. "You're getting better, girl. You're making progress every single day," I would whisper in her ear during those close, quiet, intimate moments when the day's insanity had subsided and it was just the two of us as I washed her backside or changed her diaper or prepared the poultice for her head. It had been years, decades in fact, since my children were babies, and I had had a living creature depend on me so completely, looking to me to provide warmth, protection, shelter, cleanliness, and nourishment. I was Sadie's lifeline to the world and her only chance for survival. It was both sobering and inspiring when I dried Sadie off after a bath, rubbing and fluffing her damp, dark fur in a big old beach towel, and she would just stare placidly into my face, her deep amber eyes helpless with grace, gratitude, and love. Meanwhile, the ambitious Saving Sadie project that Marnette and I had initiated continued in earnest. Day and night, it seemed like all we were doing was working on and marketing Sadie. Eating, breathing, sleeping Sadie. We looked at every contact as a challenge and an adventure, and we just kept on trying to reach more and more people, raising money and awareness. Marnette's contact, Laura Simpson, kept Sadie in the spotlight, constantly posting new articles on her websites and also on the care2.com website, which helped tremendously, bringing in donations and forging relationships that we never could have made happen on our own. All this chaos was exciting and nerve-wracking, but I also sometimes worried that the rest of my life was slipping away from me. I was so exhausted at work, rarely saw my friends, and found it difficult to talk to my daughters, who worried about what adopting Sadie was doing to me. I missed my girl so much, my heart aching in a way only a mother can truly understand. I couldn't imagine having to choose between my daughters or my dog. I just prayed it never reached that point. If only Jamie Lynn and Joey would spend some time with Sadie, I thought ruefully. They could see how much progress she's making, and they would understand why this is so important to me. But in the meantime, waiting for them to and come around became yet another type of hope with which I was learning to live, negotiating those fractious personal and familial curves, those rough and bumpy places where want and need, conflict and desire overlapped and intersected. Okay, we're going to stop there at the top of page 81 because we got some nice little asterisks here. I feel like I'm reading this book very like stilted. It has like crazy long paragraphs and sentences. I'm like, I think it's going to end, and it just keeps on going. So it's kind of throwing me off. But I hope I'm going to get Practical Magic watched by next time, so we can talk about that. Oh, and I do have another review, the movie Abigail. Fun movie. I'll review that too next time. So wherever you're at, I hope it's great, and I hope you have a great day, week, month, year, and I hope you come back here. Bye.